Welcome to Fluent English Journey. Thank you so much for being here. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss your daily English learning tips. Today, we are going to talk about some simple, useful, and powerful daily sentences that can help you speak English more confidently and communicate more smoothly. When you choose the right sentence at the right moment, your conversations sound natural, friendly, and clear. It also becomes much easier to express your ideas without hesitation. Let's start with greetings. Imagine you are meeting someone for the first time. Instead of saying only, hello, you can use something a little warmer and more expressive like, it's a pleasure to meet you. I've heard a lot about your work. This type of sentence helps you make a positive and respectful first impression. It shows confidence, interest, and politeness. When you greet people warmly, they feel valued, and this helps you build better relationships. Now think about situations where you need to share your opinion. Instead of just saying your idea directly, you can use polite and confident sentences such as, from my perspective, we could consider another approach. I understand your point, and I'd like to add a different viewpoint. These sentences show that you respect others while also expressing your own ideas clearly. This is very important in meetings, group discussions, or teamwork because it helps everyone communicate smoothly without misunderstandings. Sometimes, you may not understand something clearly. Instead of saying, I don't understand, you can use a more polite and professional sentence like, could you please explain that a little more so I can fully understand? This shows that you are listening, paying attention, and genuinely want clarity. It makes your conversation smoother and more respectful. Agreeing politely is also a great skill. Instead of simply saying, I agree, you can say, I completely agree with your suggestion. It fits well with our goals. Your idea is very insightful and makes a lot of sense. These sentences show not only agreement, but also appreciation. They help build trust and strengthen communication. Of course, sometimes you need to disagree politely. Instead of saying directly, I don't think that's right, you can use softer sentences like, I see your point. However, I have a slightly different perspective. That's an interesting idea, but I wonder if we could consider another option. These kinds of sentences help you express disagreement without sounding rude. They keep the conversation friendly and productive. Clear communication is also important when you are giving instructions or explanations. Instead of using short or confusing directions, you can say, first, I suggest reviewing the current data before making a decision. It might help to list the key steps so everyone understands their responsibilities. Clear instructions reduce confusion, save time, and help teamwork. In casual conversations with friends, classmates, or coworkers, you can use thoughtful sentences to make the interaction more meaningful. For example, I really enjoyed your presentation today. It gave me new ideas. Your story was very interesting and helped me understand things better. These sentences show kindness, attention, and appreciation, all of which help you build better connections. Transitions are also important for smooth communication. Instead of jumping from one topic to another suddenly, you can say, speaking of that, it reminds me of another point I want to share. Before we move on, I'd like to clarify one thing. These phrases guide the flow of conversation and make you sound more organized and confident. Expressing gratitude is another essential skill. Instead of only saying, thanks, you can say, I truly appreciate the effort you put into this project. Thank you for sharing your thoughts. They really helped me understand better. These sentences sound warm, sincere, and respectful. When you want to end a conversation politely, you can use sentences like, it was wonderful talking with you. I look forward to continuing our conversation soon. I appreciate your time today, and I hope we can connect again soon. These expressions help you close a conversation gently while keeping a positive relationship. Using these kinds of daily sentences will not only make your English more fluent, but also make your communication more natural, confident, and enjoyable. With regular practice, you will express yourself more clearly and handle any conversation, professional or casual, with ease. Improving fluency is not just about speaking more. It is about speaking in a way that feels smooth, natural, and confident. These simple sentences can help you reach that goal one step at a time. When you practice these sentences regularly, you train your mind to respond in a calm and thoughtful way. This makes it easier for you to express your ideas clearly and move through conversations without stress. Over time, this becomes one of the most important steps in mastering advanced English communication. Along with using sentences for introductions, sharing opinions, agreeing, and disagreeing, it is also important to learn sentences that show curiosity and help you ask better questions. Good questions help you understand people more deeply, gather important information, and show that you are actively participating in the conversation. Instead of asking a short question like, "What do you mean?" you can use a more polite and clearer sentence such as, "Could you clarify that for me so I can fully understand your point of view? I'd like to understand your perspective better. Could you give me an example?" These sentences make you sound respectful and thoughtful. They also encourage the other person to explain their ideas more clearly. If you want to explore someone's ideas further or understand how they think, you can ask, "Can you explain how you reached this conclusion? I'm curious to know more about the factors that influenced your decision." These sentences show that you are a careful listener and that you value the other person's thoughts. People appreciate it when someone takes real interest in their ideas, and this leads to deeper, more meaningful conversations. Another important part of effective communication is offering suggestions or advice politely. Telling someone directly, "You should do this," can sound rude, even if you don't mean it that way. Instead, you can make your suggestions sound supportive and friendly. I would recommend considering this approach. It might give you a new perspective. One possible strategy that could work is trying this method and seeing the results. These sentences make your advice sound gentle, helpful, and cooperative. They help create a positive environment where people feel comfortable sharing ideas and solving problems together. Using these types of sentences shows that you value respect, teamwork, and open communication. It helps build trust and encourages others to speak freely. With practice, you will become a more confident communicator in both personal and professional situations. These expressions will gradually become a natural part of your everyday speaking style. Another key skill is giving feedback in a supportive way. Instead of pointing out mistakes directly, you can highlight strengths and offer gentle suggestions for improvement. For example, "Your presentation was detailed and informative. One area you could explore further is this point to increase clarity. I appreciate the effort you put into this report." Adding a few more examples might make it even more engaging. These sentences provide helpful feedback while still sounding encouraging and respectful. They show professionalism and help the other person grow without feeling discouraged. Advanced English speakers also use polite and precise sentences when making requests. Instead of saying, "Send me the file," you can say, "Would it be possible for you to send me the file at your earliest convenience? It will help me complete my task. I would really appreciate it if you could send me the document so I can review it before the meeting." These sentences show respect for the other person's time and make your request sound more professional. When you need to decline an offer or say no, politeness is essential. Instead of saying, "I can't do it," you can use a softer sentence like, "I truly appreciate your offer, but I'm unable to accept it at the moment due to other commitments. Thank you for thinking of me. However, I'll have to pass on this opportunity because I have prior responsibilities." These sentences help you say no clearly while still protecting your relationships and avoiding misunderstandings. Expressing emotions and reactions naturally is another important communication skill. Instead of saying only, "Good job," you can say, "I'm genuinely impressed by the thoroughness of your work. Your dedication is clear. Your creativity in this project is remarkable and has inspired me to approach challenges differently. These sentences show sincere appreciation and encourage the other person. When something surprises you, instead of reacting too quickly with really or wow, you can use more refined expressions. I didn't expect that outcome. It makes me reconsider the situation. That result was unexpected and has given me a fresh perspective. These expressions make your reactions sound thoughtful and mature. Using these types of sentences every day makes your speaking more expressive, polite, and confident. They help you communicate emotions, give feedback, ask questions, and make requests with clarity and respect. With time, these habits will strengthen your relationships, improve your professionalism, and make you sound more fluent and natural in English. When something surprises you, another calm way to respond is by saying, "That result is quite unexpected, and it makes me reconsider my assumptions. This outcome is surprising, and I'm curious to understand the reasoning behind it." Advanced speakers often use complete, clear sentences like these to express their thoughts. This makes communication richer and more meaningful. Finally, storytelling is also an important area where advanced daily use sentences can help you express yourself with clarity, emotion, and confidence. When you want to share an experience, it is important to start your story in a smooth and engaging way. Instead of beginning suddenly with, "Yesterday I did something," you can say, "Yesterday I had an interesting experience that taught me an important lesson, and I'd like to share it with you. Let me tell you about something that happened recently which gave me a new perspective on teamwork and collaboration." These kinds of introductory sentences immediately catch the listener's attention and prepare them for your story. They make your storytelling feel more professional, more natural, and more organized. As you continue telling the story, you can use expressive sentences to show emotions, thoughts, and reactions. For example, you can say, "At that moment, I realized the importance of careful planning and clear communication. What surprised me the most was how everyone responded with such creativity and positivity." These sentences add depth and emotion to your story. They help your listener imagine the situation clearly and understand why the experience was meaningful. Using complete sentences and connecting your ideas smoothly makes your story easy to follow and enjoyable to listen to. Handling disagreements politely. Another essential communication skill is knowing how to disagree politely. When you disagree with someone, avoid saying things like "you are wrong," because such phrases create tension and may sound rude. Instead, you can use sentences like, "I see your perspective, but I have a different interpretation that I would like to share. I understand your argument, and I think it is valid. However, I have some additional points that might offer another angle." These sentences help you express disagreement clearly while still respecting the other person's opinion. When you're trying to resolve a conflict or reach a common decision, you can use sentences like, "I believe we can find a solution that satisfies both sides if we carefully consider all the available options. Let's take a moment to review the key points so we can reach a decision that works for everyone involved." These expressions show maturity, patience, and logical thinking. They help keep the conversation calm, respectful, and productive. This kind of communication is highly valued in workplaces, group discussions, and personal relationships. With regular practice, you will be able to handle disagreements and difficult conversations with confidence and professionalism. Persuasion and negotiation skills. When you are negotiating or trying to persuade someone, choosing the right sentences makes a big difference. Instead of insisting on your idea or demanding something directly, you can say, "I would like to propose a solution that could benefit both parties and help us achieve our goals effectively. Considering the circumstances, I believe this approach offers a fair compromise while addressing the main concerns of everyone involved." These sentences show that you are thinking carefully, communicating clearly, and being considerate of different viewpoints. These qualities are important for successful negotiation. In casual conversations, when you want someone to consider your opinion, you can use polite and encouraging sentences such as, "I understand your hesitation, but I'd like to highlight a few advantages of this approach that might be helpful. I appreciate your point of view, and I hope you will consider the benefits of this alternative." These sentences help you share your ideas without sounding demanding or forceful. They promote open-mindedness and make others more willing to listen. Asking questions and showing curiosity. Expressing curiosity is also a sign of advanced communication. Instead of saying, "I want to know more," you can say, "I'm very interested in learning more about this topic because it could provide valuable insights. Could you share your experiences regarding this issue? I'm eager to understand different perspectives." These sentences show that you are thoughtful, intelligent, and actively engaged in the conversation. They make discussions deeper and more meaningful. Self-reflection and emotional intelligence. Reflecting on your own experiences and actions is another powerful communication skill. Instead of ignoring past mistakes or challenges, you can use sentences like, "Upon reflection, I realize there are areas where I could improve my approach, and I'm planning to address them proactively. Looking back at the situation, I understand what could have been done differently to achieve a better outcome." These sentences demonstrate self-awareness, responsibility, and emotional maturity. They show that you are willing to learn, grow, and improve. People trust and respect individuals who communicate this way. Why these sentences matter. Using these advanced daily sentences, whether in formal situations or casual conversations, helps you communicate more naturally and effectively. They allow you to express your thoughts clearly, respond politely, and maintain strong relationships with others. Over time, these habits will make your interactions more thoughtful, persuasive, and productive. With consistent practice, these sentences will become a natural part of your communication style, helping you sound more fluent, confident, and professional in English. Using advanced daily sentences can make your communication much stronger in both casual and professional situations. When you learn how to express your thoughts clearly, you will find it easier to share your opinions, handle disagreements, ask questions, and reflect on your experiences. You will also sound more confident, respectful, and professional. Even in simple conversations with friends, advanced sentences make everything feel warmer and more meaningful. For example, instead of replying with something short like, "That's nice," you can make the conversation richer by saying, "That sounds like an incredible experience, and I'd love to hear more about it." Another good response is, "It's interesting to hear how you dealt with that situation. You handled it very smartly." These types of sentences show real interest and help the other person feel valued. When someone shares a difficult or emotional experience, you can say, "I can imagine how hard that must have been, and I truly admire the way you managed it." You can also say, "Your perseverance in that situation is inspiring. It really gives me something to think about." These responses make conversations more supportive, meaningful, and connected. In professional or workplace settings, advanced sentences become even more important. They help you build strong relationships, show respect, and create opportunities. For example, when meeting someone at a conference, you can say, "It's a pleasure to finally meet you in person. I've heard a lot about your work and I'm excited to exchange ideas." Another option is, "I've been following your recent projects, and I'm really impressed by your innovative approach. I would love to explore possible ways we could collaborate." These sentences show confidence, professionalism, and enthusiasm, qualities that matter a lot in business and career growth. Following up after a meeting is also a great time to use advanced sentences. Instead of saying only, "Thanks for meeting," you can say, "Thank you for taking the time to meet with me today. I found our discussion very helpful, and I look forward to exploring the ideas we talked about." Another thoughtful follow-up sentence is, I appreciate the chance to connect with you. Your suggestions gave me a fresh perspective on our project, and I'm excited to start working on them. When you want to express agreement in a more thoughtful way, you can also use advanced sentences. Instead of saying, "Yes, I agree," you could say, "I completely agree with your analysis, and I think it highlights an important point we should pay more attention to." Another option is, "I share your viewpoint, and I believe your observations give us a strong direction for our next steps." These responses show that you understand the idea fully, not just that you agree. If you agree only partly, you can make your message polite and balanced. You could say, "I see your perspective and I agree with several of your points. However, I think there are a few more things we should consider." Another sentence is, "I appreciate your insight and I agree to some extent, but I'd like to add a different viewpoint so we can have a complete understanding." These sentences show that you are thinking carefully and communicating respectfully. Asking for opinions or advice is another common daily situation. Instead of simply asking, "What do you think?" you could say, "I would really value your opinion on this, because your experience could help me see things more clearly." Another option is, "Could you share your thoughts on this approach? I'm looking for some feedback to make a better decision." These sentences sound polite and show respect for the other person's knowledge. When someone asks you for advice, you can respond in a way that sounds thoughtful and helpful. For example, you can say, "Based on my experience, I would recommend considering these factors carefully before making a decision." Another useful response is, "I think a practical approach would be to evaluate all your options and compare the possible results before choosing a direction." A big part of advanced communication is knowing how to handle difficult or sensitive conversations. Disagreements happen everywhere, at home, at school, at work. Instead of saying something direct or harsh like, "You're wrong," you can soften your message by saying, "I understand your perspective, and I appreciate your reasoning. However, I have some additional thoughts that I think are worth considering." This kind of sentence keeps the conversation calm, respectful, and productive. Using these advanced daily sentences will help you communicate more effectively in every situation. With practice, you will sound more confident, polite, and expressive. You will build stronger relationships, participate in better conversations, and develop communication skills that will help you in every part of life. Using these kinds of sentences helps you express your opinions without sounding rude, aggressive, or dismissive. They show that you are open to discussion, even when you do not fully agree with the other person. When you communicate this way, difficult conversations become calmer and more productive. Instead of creating conflict, you create cooperation. Over time, using such advanced sentences will help you build stronger relationships and handle complex situations with confidence and professionalism. When you need to talk about sensitive topics, it is important to speak gently and respectfully. You can start by saying, "I would like to discuss something that has been on my mind, and I hope we can talk about it openly and calmly." Another thoughtful beginning is, "I really value our relationship, and I want to make sure we understand each other. So I'd like to talk about a concern I have." These sentences create a safe environment for discussion. They prevent misunderstandings and help avoid unnecessary tension. In daily conversations, knowing how to manage interruptions politely is also an important skill. If someone interrupts you, rather than responding sharply, you can say, "I appreciate your point, and I'd like to finish my thought before hearing your perspective." Another polite sentence is, "That's an interesting idea, and I'll respond to it as soon as I complete what I was explaining." These responses show politeness, self-control, and professionalism while still respecting the other person. Similarly, if you need to add something to a discussion without sounding rude, you can say, "I hope you don't mind if I add something that might complement what you just said." Another option is, "If I may, I'd like to share an additional point that could help deepen the discussion." These expressions allow you to join the conversation respectfully and maintain a cooperative tone. They help create a balanced and collaborative communication style. Persuasive communication is another important part of advanced language skills. Being persuasive does not mean forcing people to accept your opinion. It means explaining your ideas clearly, supporting them with reasons, and showing respect for different viewpoints. Instead of saying, "You should do it this way," you can say, "Based on the evidence we have, this approach seems the most effective. I'd like to explain why it could work well." This shows that your suggestion is thoughtful and based on analysis, not emotion. When speaking to a group, it helps to acknowledge that different options exist before sharing your preferred choice. For example, you can say, "I understand we have several options to consider, and I believe this particular approach has strong potential because of its advantages." This sentence shows that you respect other opinions while confidently presenting your own. It also makes the audience more open to listening. Using these communication strategies helps you speak thoughtfully, respectfully, and persuasively in any situation. Whether you are discussing sensitive topics, working in a group, managing interruptions, or presenting an argument, these sentences help you communicate clearly and confidently. They also help you avoid unnecessary conflict, build stronger relationships, and express your ideas effectively. Advanced sentences also reflect strategic thinking and confidence. For example, instead of saying, "This is my idea," you can say, "Today, I'd like to present an idea that could enhance our current strategy and bring measurable benefits." This introduction immediately captures attention and shows professionalism. While explaining something, full sentences guide your audience step by step. You can say, "Let me walk you through the key points so everyone has a clear understanding." Or, to explain this concept more clearly, I will share a real-life example. These kinds of sentences make your ideas easier to follow and more engaging. They also show that you have prepared well and understand your topic deeply. When you end a presentation, strong closing sentences leave a lasting impression. For example, you can say, "In summary, this approach could produce better results, and I am happy to answer any questions you may have." Another effective closing is, to conclude, "The key points of our discussion highlight the importance of collaboration, careful planning, and continuous improvement." These sentences summarize your message clearly and invite conversation. Advanced speakers also know how to express emotions in a richer, more natural way. Instead of saying, "I am happy," they can say something like, "I'm truly delighted," "I'm really grateful," or "This makes me feel very encouraged." These expressions make your feelings sound more vivid and meaningful. When you want to express positive emotions in a more advanced and natural way, you can use sentences that sound thoughtful and sincere. Instead of simply saying, "I am happy," you can say, "I am genuinely delighted with the outcome, and it has exceeded my expectations." You can also express deeper satisfaction by saying, "I feel a deep sense of satisfaction because of the effort and dedication that went into this project." These types of sentences communicate your emotions clearly while sounding mature and expressive. Similarly, when you feel disappointed, you can express your emotions in a calm and professional way. Instead of saying, "I am sad," you can say, "I am somewhat disappointed because I expected a different result, and I believe there were opportunities to improve." This kind of sentence is honest, but still respectful. It shows that, even though you are unhappy with the situation, you are still focused on learning and improvement. Using these kinds of advanced emotional expressions helps you communicate with emotional intelligence. Whether you are giving feedback, sharing your thoughts with friends, or discussing results in a meeting, full and thoughtful sentences make your communication clearer, stronger, and more meaningful. They allow you to show confidence, respect, and maturity, and they help others understand not just your ideas, but also your feelings. When expressing disappointment professionally, you can also say, I feel let down by this situation, but I am determined to find a constructive solution moving forward. Or, I recognize that there is room for improvement, and I am committed to addressing it positively. These sentences show that you acknowledge the problem, but you are still focused on progress and solutions. This creates a positive atmosphere and reduces unnecessary conflict. Another important part of advanced communication is cultural awareness, especially when interacting with people from different backgrounds. Using polite, complete sentences ensures your message is clear and helps avoid misunderstandings. For example, when discussing cultural differences, you can say, I understand that practices may vary across cultures, and I am genuinely interested in learning more about how your approach works in this situation. You can also say, I respect the traditions and viewpoints of others, and I believe diverse perspectives help us collaborate more effectively. These sentences show open-mindedness and respect, which helps build trust and positive relationships. When appreciating someone's culture, you can say, I truly admire how your cultural traditions encourage cooperation and community, and I would like to learn more. Or, your perspective is fascinating, and it shows how different experiences can shape problem-solving in valuable ways. These expressions show that you are curious, respectful, and willing to learn from others. Advanced communication also includes handling questions clearly and confidently. Instead of replying, I don't know, you can say, that is an interesting question. Let me give you the most accurate information I can. Or, I'm not completely sure, but based on my understanding, this is how the process works. I can verify the details if needed. These sentences show honesty, confidence, and a willingness to learn. When clarifying information, it's important to make sure everyone understands. You can say, to make sure we are all aligned, let me restate the key points. Or, I would like to provide a detailed explanation to remove any confusion and ensure everything is clear. Using well-structured sentences like these shows careful listening and commitment to clear communication. It also helps prevent mistakes and keeps discussions productive. By practicing these strategies, expressing emotions thoughtfully, respecting cultural differences, clarifying information clearly, you will sound more confident, professional, and empathetic. These skills are especially helpful for advanced English learners who want to communicate successfully in different environments. Over time, using complete and polite sentences will make your communication sound natural, interesting, and effective. Whether you are in a professional meeting, a social gathering, or a casual conversation, clear and well-structured sentences make your ideas easier to understand and help you build stronger relationships with the people around you. In advanced communication, being able to compare ideas and point out differences politely is very important. Instead of quickly saying, "This is better," it is more effective to explain why something is better. For example, you can say, when we compare these two approaches, we can see that the first option is more efficient and supports our long-term goals. This type of sentence sounds thoughtful and shows that you have analyzed the situation carefully. Another helpful way to show contrast is by acknowledging that both ideas have value. For instance, you can say, while both strategies have their strengths, the second approach offers greater flexibility in changing situations. This kind of sentence sounds professional and helps others understand your reasoning. When you want to highlight key differences, you can explain them clearly by saying, the main difference between these methods lies in how the resources are used and managed, which greatly affects the final results. Even when two plans have similar goals, their methods may be very different. You can say, although the goals of these initiatives are the same, their strategies differ a lot. Understanding these differences is important for making good decisions. Using sentences like these shows clarity, careful thinking, and confidence, all important traits in advanced level communication. Another essential skill is offering help politely. Instead of only asking, "Do you want help?" you can say, "I would be happy to assist you if you need support." Or you can say, "If you need any guidance, please feel free to reach out. I'm here to help." These sentences sound kind, respectful, and professional. When someone offers help to you, you can reply politely with sentences like, "Thank you for offering. I appreciate it, and I may ask for help if I need it." Or, "I'm grateful for your willingness to assist. I will let you know how your support can be most useful." These responses show gratitude and help build good relationships. Asking for clarification is also a key communication skill. Instead of saying, "I don't understand," you can use a more polite and complete sentence. For example, "Could you please explain this point in more detail so I can fully understand?" Or, "I would like to confirm a few details to make sure we are on the same page." When you use full sentences like these, you show that you are attentive, respectful, and willing to understand the topic fully. This encourages others to communicate more clearly and strengthens cooperation. Practicing these techniques, explaining clearly, making thoughtful comparisons, offering help politely, and asking for clarification respectfully makes communication much more effective in both professional and personal situations. Polite and complete sentences not only improve understanding, but also help build stronger relationships, show professionalism, and demonstrate emotional intelligence. Over time, these habits make your speaking style more confident, natural, and persuasive. You can also use complete sentences to check if you understood someone correctly. Instead of saying, "So this," you can say, "Just to make sure I understand, the steps involve A, B, and C. Is that correct?" Or, to clarify, you are suggesting this approach because it improves both efficiency and quality. Is my understanding right? These sentences show careful listening and a desire to avoid misunderstandings. Negotiation is another situation where strong communication is needed. Good negotiation is not only about doing things your way, it is also about understanding others' perspectives and finding solutions that benefit everyone. Instead of saying, "Do it my way," you can say, "I think this approach could work well because it addresses the main challenges. I would like to hear your ideas on how we can adjust it to meet everyone's needs." This shows respect and cooperation. When discussing terms or strategies, clear and complete sentences help express your thoughtful reasoning. For example, considering our available resources and time limits, I suggest using a strategy that balances both efficiency and quality. Or, each option has strong points. Maybe we can combine the best parts of both to create a better solution. Sentences like these show professionalism and teamwork, making it easier to reach agreements. Storytelling is another area where complete sentences help a lot. Instead of beginning with, "Something happened yesterday," you can say, "Yesterday, I had an experience that challenged my thinking about teamwork and taught me an important lesson about communication." This type of opening captures attention and gives clear context. You can continue your story by explaining events clearly. For example, "During the project, I noticed that open communication helped us solve problems faster." Or, "What surprised me most was how creatively the team adapted under pressure. It taught me the importance of staying flexible." By using detailed, organized, and thoughtful sentences, your communication becomes clearer, more engaging, and more effective in every situation. Using complete and thoughtful sentences helps your audience follow your story, understand the main points, and learn from your experiences. When you speak or write with clarity, your communication becomes more professional, persuasive, and engaging. Whether you are asking questions, confirming information, negotiating, or telling stories, full sentences show that you are attentive, analytical, and respectful. Over time, these habits help you handle complex conversations with confidence and express your ideas clearly in both personal and professional situations. When you tell stories or reflect on your experiences, Complete sentences make your communication stronger and more meaningful. Instead of only describing what happened, you can explain what you learned and why the experience mattered. For example, you might say, as the situation developed, I realized that careful listening and asking clarifying questions could prevent misunderstandings and lead to better results. Or, what impressed me most was how different perspectives created new ideas when everyone stayed open and engaged. Sentences like these give context, emphasize key lessons, and make your storytelling more compelling. This is especially helpful for advanced English learners who want to express deeper thoughts clearly and naturally. Reflecting on experiences also shows analytical thinking and emotional intelligence. You might say, looking back, I understand how important preparation and flexibility are when managing unexpected challenges. Or, after reflecting on the outcome, I can see how patience and thoughtful communication helped the project succeed. These types of sentences show that you can examine situations, learn from them, and share your insights in a professional and mature way. They help listeners understand not only what happened, but also why it matters. Another important communication skill is expressing conditional ideas clearly. Instead of saying, if this happens, it will be good, you can make your sentence more professional and detailed. For example, if we implement this strategy successfully, it could increase productivity and encourage better teamwork. Or, if we face unexpected challenges, we can adjust our approach to reduce disruption and maintain progress. Conditional sentences help you discuss possibilities, predict outcomes, and communicate in a more strategic way. These sentences are precise and easy to understand, which strengthens your communication in both personal and professional interactions. When giving suggestions based on conditions, full sentences make your advice more persuasive and cooperative. You can say, if you are open to considering a different method, we may achieve better results more efficiently. Or, if you decide to continue with this plan, I recommend focusing on the main priorities to achieve the best outcome. These kinds of sentences show clarity, professionalism, and a willingness to work together, which encourages open discussion and collaboration. The way you communicate in professional or social networking situations is also very important. Using complete and thoughtful sentences helps you make a strong impression, show respect, and express your ideas clearly. For example, instead of just saying, "Hi, I work in marketing," you can say, "Hello, I am a marketing professional specializing in creating strategies that increase brand engagement and produce measurable results." Or, "It's a pleasure to meet you. I'm especially interested in your work in digital communications and would love to exchange ideas." These sentences sound confident, professional, and friendly, helping you build meaningful connections. Following up after meeting someone is just as important. Instead of simply saying, "Nice to meet you," you can say, "It was a pleasure connecting with you at the conference. Your insights on innovation were truly inspiring, and I look forward to continuing our discussion." Or, "Thank you for sharing your experiences with me. I found your problem-solving approach very insightful, and I hope we can collaborate in the future." These complete, thoughtful sentences show professionalism, respect, and genuine interest in building a strong relationship. By practicing all of these strategies, asking clear questions, giving thoughtful answers, expressing conditional ideas, telling meaningful stories, and communicating politely, you become a more confident and effective communicator. Focusing on clarity, context, and thoughtful expression helps you speak in a way that is professional, persuasive, and easy for others to understand. With consistent practice, you will be able to navigate complex interactions smoothly and express your ideas with confidence in any situation. These communication practices not only leave a strong and positive impression, but they also help you build better relationships and create future opportunities for collaboration. Another important advanced skill is persuasion. When you want to influence someone, it is not enough to say, "You should agree with me." Instead, you need to explain your ideas clearly, support your points with logical reasoning, and show that you understand other people's concerns. For example, instead of giving a short command, you can say, "I understand your concerns, and I would like to share a few points that explain why this approach could benefit everyone involved." Or you can say, "Based on the results and information we have, this strategy seems to offer a strong balance between efficiency and long-term success." Using complete sentences like these helps you sound more thoughtful, respectful, and professional. It also prevents misunderstandings and makes others more willing to listen to your ideas. When persuading a team or a group, using advanced sentences shows that you recognize different viewpoints and want to work together. You might say, "I recognize that there are several perspectives to consider, and I would like to explain how this approach supports our shared goals." Or, while both methods have advantages, I believe this option offers the greatest effectiveness and sustainability. These sentences demonstrate strategic thinking and consideration for both the short-term needs and the long-term outcomes of the group. They also encourage teamwork, open discussion, and deeper analysis, which are all essential for successful persuasion in professional environments. Full, well-structured sentences help you communicate clearly not just in persuasion, but also in introductions, follow-ups, and everyday conversations. When you use complete sentences, people find it easier to understand your ideas, trust your perspective, and respond positively. Practicing these skills regularly strengthens your advanced English abilities and helps you handle complex interactions with greater confidence. Over time, this makes your communication more professional, respectful, and impactful. In social conversations, advanced sentences make interactions richer and more interesting. Instead of simply saying, "That is interesting," you can say, "I find that very intriguing because it challenges common assumptions and encourages deeper reflection." Or you can say, "Your point is fascinating, and it makes me think about how I might approach similar situations in a different way." These sentences show genuine engagement and make the conversation more meaningful. When acknowledging someone's achievements, complete sentences also help you express appreciation respectfully. For example, you can say, "Congratulations on your accomplishment. It clearly reflects your dedication and skill, and I truly admire the effort you invested." Or, "Your success is inspiring, and it motivates me to improve my own performance." These thoughtful sentences show respect, support, and emotional intelligence, which are key qualities in strong communication. Advanced sentences are especially valuable during presentations. Instead of saying, "I want to talk about our plan," you can say, "Today, I would like to present our strategic plan, which outlines the steps we can take to achieve our objectives effectively." Or, "I will guide you through the main parts of our proposal and explain how each contributes to our overall success." Sentences like these help your audience follow along easily because they are clear, purposeful, and well-structured. While explaining ideas in a presentation, you can say, "To illustrate this point, let me describe a scenario that highlights the potential advantages of our approach." Or, "It is important to understand the reasoning behind these decisions to ensure that everyone is aligned with our long-term goals." These sentences help your audience see the logic behind your ideas and stay engaged with your message. When concluding a presentation, complete sentences make your summary stronger and more memorable. For example, you can say, "In conclusion, adopting this plan could significantly improve our performance and results, and I welcome any questions or suggestions to help refine the strategy." Or, to summarize, the key lessons emphasize the importance of planning, collaboration, and continuous improvement for long-term success. Using clear and complete sentences throughout your presentation ensures that your message is professional, organized, and persuasive. It helps your audience understand, remember, and respond to your ideas with confidence. Practicing these advanced communication strategies in both professional and social settings will help you express your ideas clearly, respond thoughtfully, and engage others more effectively. With consistent practice, your communication will become more confident, natural, and impactful in every situation. Over time, practicing these advanced communication strategies improves your confidence, fluency, and ability to express yourself clearly in nuanced and professional ways. Whether in presentations, networking, storytelling, or everyday conversations, using complete sentences strengthens your communication skills, builds stronger relationships, and leaves a positive, lasting impression on everyone you interact with. Using complete sentences is essential for advanced English learners because it makes your ideas clear, professional, and persuasive. For example, instead of simply saying, "This is my idea," you can say, "In my view, this approach offers significant advantages, and I would like to explain the reasons behind my perspective. I understand there are multiple viewpoints, and I believe this option provides a balanced and effective solution." These sentences demonstrate thoughtfulness, clarity, and confidence, which are essential in both professional and social interactions. When you partially agree with someone, you can express your opinion respectfully and constructively. For example, "I agree with your analysis in many respects, and I would like to add a few points that could complement your argument. Your perspective is very valid, and I also think incorporating additional data could enhance overall understanding." These sentences show critical thinking, respect for others' ideas, and the ability to communicate nuanced opinions without causing tension or misunderstandings. Asking questions effectively is another key skill. Instead of saying, "Can you explain?" you can say, "Could you please elaborate on this point so I can fully understand the reasoning behind it? I would like to gain more insight into your approach. Could you provide some examples that illustrate your perspective?" When seeking advice, "I value your expertise and would appreciate your thoughts on the best way to approach this challenge. Could you share your experience regarding this situation? I am eager to learn from your insights." These sentences show respect, attentiveness, and professionalism while encouraging clear and constructive dialogue. Handling conditional or hypothetical situations is another important skill. Instead of saying, "If this happens, it will be good," you can say, "If we implement this strategy successfully, it could lead to improved productivity and stronger team collaboration. Should we encounter unexpected challenges, we can adjust our approach to minimize disruption and maintain progress." Using conditional sentences this way allows you to discuss possibilities, plan for different outcomes, and communicate strategically with confidence. Expressing curiosity and interest is vital in professional and social settings. Instead of saying, "I want to know more," you can say, "I am very interested in learning more about this topic because it could provide valuable insights. Could you share your experience regarding this issue? I am eager to understand different perspectives." When reflecting on your own actions, you can express thoughtfulness clearly. "Upon reflection, I realize there are areas where I could improve my approach, and I plan to address them proactively. Looking back at this situation, I understand what could have been done differently to achieve a better outcome." These sentences demonstrate self-awareness, maturity, and emotional intelligence. Advanced sentences also strengthen persuasion, negotiation, and storytelling skills. For example, when presenting an idea, based on the data and outcomes observed, this strategy seems to provide the best balance between efficiency and long-term benefits. I understand there are multiple options to consider, and I believe this approach aligns with our shared objectives while addressing key challenges effectively. When telling a story, instead of saying, "Yesterday something happened," you can say, "Yesterday I had an experience that taught me a valuable lesson about teamwork and communication. What struck me most was how different perspectives can lead to creative solutions when everyone is engaged." Using complete sentences in storytelling, persuasion, or professional discussions makes your communication clearer, richer, and more persuasive. By practicing these strategies regularly, you will improve fluency, confidence, and the ability to express ideas effectively in any context. Whether presenting ideas, asking questions, giving feedback, negotiating, or engaging in casual conversations, using full and thoughtful sentences ensures that your communication is professional, respectful, and impactful. For example, instead of saying, "If this happens, it will be good," you can say, "If we adopt this strategy, it could lead to improved collaboration and higher efficiency across the team." Should the circumstances change, we can adapt our approach to ensure that outcomes remain positive and aligned with our objectives. Using full sentences in hypothetical scenarios allows you to discuss possibilities thoughtfully, anticipate challenges, and propose solutions clearly and professionally. For example, if you were to face a similar challenge in the future, I would recommend considering these factors to achieve the best possible results. Should this approach not produce the expected outcomes, we could explore alternative methods that balance efficiency with quality. These sentences demonstrate strategic thinking, foresight, and clarity, which are essential skills for advanced English learners. Storytelling in advanced English requires sentences that convey context, detail, and reflection. Instead of saying, "I went to a meeting," you can say, "Last week, I attended a meeting that highlighted several important challenges in our project and provided me with valuable insights on improving our processes." While narrating, you can add, "During the discussion, I observed how effective communication and active listening led to a productive exchange of ideas. One particular moment stood out because it demonstrated the importance of collaboration and open-mindedness in achieving consensus." Reflecting on experiences can be expressed as, "Looking back, I realized that my preparation and willingness to listen played a key role in navigating the conversation successfully. Reflecting on this event, I understand how patience and thoughtful responses can positively influence outcomes." Using full reflective sentences in storytelling adds depth, clarity, and engagement, making narratives more compelling and professional. Expressing opinions and preferences clearly and diplomatically is another essential skill. For example, instead of saying, "I like this idea," you can say, "I find this approach particularly compelling because it addresses several key challenges while aligning with our long-term goals. I am inclined to support this strategy because it offers practical benefits and demonstrates thoughtful consideration of potential obstacles." When expressing disagreement respectfully, you can say, "I understand your point of view and appreciate your reasoning. However, I would like to present an alternative perspective that might enhance our understanding of the situation. Your suggestion is insightful, and while I see its merits, I believe considering a slightly different approach could yield even better results." These sentences help learners communicate opinions with nuance, maintain professionalism, and encourage collaborative discussion. Persuasion and influencing others is a critical part of advanced communication. Instead of saying, "You should do this," you can say, "Based on the analysis and available data, I believe this approach could provide the most effective solution, and I would like to explain why it is advantageous." When addressing a group, while there are several options to consider, this particular method appears to balance efficiency, cost, and quality effectively. By adopting this strategy, we can achieve our objectives while minimizing potential risks and maximizing benefits. Using full structured sentences in persuasion demonstrates analytical thinking, clarity, and confidence, skills essential for advanced learners. Negotiation also benefits from full sentences. I recognize that each party has specific priorities, and I would like to propose a solution that accommodates everyone's interests while maintaining overall objectives. Considering the constraints and opportunities, I suggest exploring a compromise that leverages the strengths of each option and achieves a balanced outcome. These sentences communicate thoughtfulness, professionalism, and collaboration. Networking professionally or socially also relies on well-structured sentences. For example, hello, I am a finance professional specializing in risk management and strategic investment planning, and I am eager to exchange insights with others in the industry. It is a pleasure to meet you. I have been following your recent projects and find your approach very inspiring. I would like to discuss potential opportunities for collaboration. When following up with contacts, thank you for taking the time to speak with me at the conference. Your insights were enlightening, and I look forward to exploring ways we might collaborate in the future. I truly appreciated our conversation and found your perspective on innovation very valuable. I hope we can continue sharing ideas moving forward. Using complete professional sentences ensures clarity, respect, and engagement in networking contexts. Handling questions effectively is another key skill. Instead of saying, I don't know, you can say, that is a very interesting question. Based on my knowledge, this is the most accurate information I can provide, and I can verify additional details if necessary. I am not entirely certain, but I can offer an explanation based on the information currently available and follow up with more precise data afterward. When seeking to understand someone better, it helps to ask clear and polite questions, showing attentiveness and professionalism. Using full sentences in conversations demonstrates attentiveness, professionalism, and thoughtfulness. Instead of asking a simple, "What do you mean?" you can say, "Could you explain that point so I can fully understand your perspective?" I would really appreciate it if you could give more details so I can think about everything carefully before responding. Sentences like these show that you are paying attention, thinking carefully, and treating the conversation with respect. In social situations, full sentences make interactions more engaging and help build stronger connections. For example, instead of saying, "That is funny," you could say, "I found that really amusing, and it made me think about how humor can make a serious topic lighter while still making a good point." Or, "Your story was entertaining and insightful. It gave me a new idea about how to handle similar challenges." These sentences demonstrate genuine interest and thoughtfulness, which encourages enjoyable conversations. When acknowledging achievements, full sentences make praise feel sincere. Instead of saying, "Good job," you could say, "Congratulations on your accomplishment." It shows real dedication and skill and inspires others. Your success is impressive and demonstrates how consistent effort and careful planning lead to good results. Using detailed sentences to praise others shows attentiveness and strong communication skills. Advanced speakers also express partial agreement or nuanced opinions thoughtfully. For example, instead of simply saying, "Yes, I agree," you can say, "I agree with many parts of your argument, and I also think that considering these additional points could give us a fuller understanding. Your analysis is very insightful, and while I share your view on some elements, exploring a slightly different approach might improve the results." When partially disagreeing, you can say, "I understand and respect your point of view, and I would like to offer another perspective that might add to your ideas. While I see the value in your approach, I think considering this alternative could help us reach an even better solution." These sentences make disagreements polite, constructive, and professional rather than confrontational. Full sentences also help convey subtle emotions like admiration, agreement, or constructive disagreement without sounding blunt or harsh. They make your ideas easier to understand, opinions more credible, and interactions smoother. When expressing your own opinion carefully, instead of, "I think this is better," you can say, "I believe that considering these additional factors could improve the overall outcome." When asking for advice or opinions, instead of, "What do you think?" you can say, "I would really value your opinion on this matter because your experience and insights could give me a different perspective." Could you share your thoughts on the approach I am considering? Your feedback would help me make a more informed decision. Using full sentences in these contexts shows respect for others' expertise and demonstrates careful thinking. When giving advice, full sentences make your suggestions thoughtful and clear. Based on my experience, I would recommend considering these steps to ensure a successful outcome. Using full sentences in communication demonstrates attentiveness, analytical thinking, and consideration, which strengthens your relationships and builds trust. Instead of bluntly saying, "I don't want to," you can respond politely and professionally. "I appreciate your offer. However, I must decline at this time due to other commitments, and I hope we can revisit this opportunity in the future. Thank you for considering me. I am unable to participate at the moment, but I look forward to potential collaboration later." Sentences like these are courteous, professional, and leave the door open for future interactions. Similarly, when offering help, full sentences make your offer clear and considerate. I would be glad to assist you with this task if you need any guidance or support. If it would be helpful, I can provide assistance to ensure the process runs smoothly and efficiently. These expressions show that you are cooperative and professional, making others feel supported and respected. Managing interruptions is another situation where full sentences are valuable. Conversations can lose flow if people speak over each other, but you can handle interruptions politely. "I appreciate your input, and I would like to finish my thought before hearing your perspective. That is an interesting point, and I will address it once I complete my explanation." Such sentences allow you to stay in control of the conversation while acknowledging the other person's contribution. When adding to someone else's point, full sentences help you contribute without seeming rude or dominating the discussion. I hope you don't mind if I add a point here that complements what you just said. If I may, I would like to share another perspective that could enrich this discussion. Using full, structured sentences in these situations creates communication that is collaborative, balanced, and respectful. By consistently practicing these strategies, expressing opinions clearly, asking for advice politely, giving thoughtful suggestions, managing interruptions gracefully, and offering help effectively, you develop advanced communication skills. Full sentences make your speech more professional, more considerate, more persuasive. They allow you to communicate ideas clearly and respectfully, whether in social, academic, or professional settings. Over time, these habits foster stronger relationships, more productive discussions, and a reputation as someone who communicates thoughtfully and effectively.